Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about Recon Wildlands, and I was lucky enough to actually get into the technical test, which is very exciting because this game definitely piqued my interest last year at E3. And so I was fairly, excited for this game, but it being a Ubisoft game, I never actually get my hopes up for a Ubisoft game anymore. Not after pretty much all of their games since, I don't know, Black Flag being either bad, disappointing, or they lied about the game in some way. For example, The Division, half of that game isn't even close to what it was in the original E3 trailer. And you could say whether the game is good or not. I personally think that The Division is a good game. But that doesn't excuse all of the content that was ripped out, sold as DLC, and then some of it's never even came back. So I'm very vigilant and very not trustworthy with Ubisoft. After that, there was many other games like Watch Dogs, Watch Dogs 2, Rainbow, For Honor. Not yet. We don't know that yet, obviously. And I personally didn't look at a whole bunch of gameplay and trailers and stuff for Ghost Recon Wildlands because, like I said, I don't trust Ubisoft, so I don't look at their trailers or anything like that anymore. So, when Ghost Recon Wildlands was unveiled, that was pretty much all I saw of it. And from what I saw of it, it looked interesting. And that's all I could say about it. I've never played a Ghost Recon Wildland, not Ghost Recon. I've never played a Ghost Recon game before at all. So this is my first introduction to the series, and since it's not really connected, you don't need to play the other ones, I was, interested. And it being set in an open world environment, that definitely interested me. To be able to conduct these stealth operations in a giant open world with your friends, that intrigued me a lot. That's something I really like. I really like stealth games. Metal Gear Solid 5 was a fantastic game. It's probably my favorite stealth game of all time. But, like I said, I really do like stealth games, so this was something that interested me. And so when I got into the technical test, I was actually not able to invite any friends because the Ubisoft website was complete shit. So I didn't get to play a whole lot of the co-op. I played with one friend for about an hour or two, but I didn't get to play a whole lot with other people, which is a little disappointing. I would have liked to see how it played a bit more. And it played like you'd expect, but there were some things I would have liked to see more of. But yeah, like I said, I didn't get to see a whole lot of the co-op elements or anything like that. I mainly got to play single player. So let's go ahead and start with that. In the technical test, you get about 6 missions, 6 actual story missions, and they're alright. The final mission is absolutely boring, and it can be done in less than 2 minutes. I was heavily disappointed with that. There was another mission involving where you're defending a radio station, and it was like, oh, bunker down, get your supplies ready, get ready to defend, and then I ended up two cars came, that was it, and I was fairly disappointed. I was hoping they're adding more or fixing this in the actual full game, because those 2 missions, the final mission and one of the other missions, like I said, involving the radio, I don't remember which one it was, but were fairly underwhelming and stupid. But the other ones were just fine. The one I enjoyed the most was you were assaulting a big military-esque camp from this other faction. You have obviously you being the U.S. soldier, the big badass U.S. soldier that comes in and saves everybody, and then you have the rebels, and then you have the actual enemies, the cartel, and all of those people, and then you have this other faction. They're a military group. I can't exactly remember their names because they were in literally one mission and they barely talked about them, or they don't even mention why they're there or anything like that I know of. So I don't even remember their names, but they were a military, almost like a militia type deal, and that was a really fun mission because they were actually fairly difficult. The pirates, or not pirates, sorry, the cartel members of this game are fairly simple. They're not exactly the most intelligent AI, but they're not dumb, stupidly dumb. They use cover and they don't run out in the open, but it is fairly easy to pick them off because if you fuck up your stealth, you're just gonna neck everybody. It's pretty easy to destroy everybody in this game. Nobody really stands in your way. So having a little bit of change of pace with that was nice. But the missions are pretty black and white simple. Normally you're either rescuing somebody or eliminating a threat. interrogating somebody for information, simple stuff. This is a technical test, the alpha or beta, so I'm not super worried about that. But it is something to ask: is this really all that's going to be? Are we going to have another Mafia 3 where it's literally just the same mission over and over and over? Because I really don't like that. Because when I talk about the gameplay, I actually do enjoy this game. It's fun to play. It has very similar elements to Far Cry in which you go and you eliminate these outposts, you get resources to level your character up, and you get medical supplies to deliver to the rebels and stuff like that. Different things like that, very reminiscent of Far Cry and other things like that. Any Ubisoft game I could really think of, this game has an element of some sorts of it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I would say they take a lot of the good elements, but, the game is not that difficult. I played on veteran difficulty, which is the normal. It's one above easy, two below the hardest. So it's not. I didn't play it on super hard difficulty, but from what I'm gathering, it's not going to be the most challenging game in the world, which isn't the biggest deal. But all you really have to do is throw your drone up. You get a drone. I don't think you saw some of the gameplay in the beginning of that. It's just a small drone. Throw it up, and you can ID and tag enemies. And, yeah, you just ID every single person in the camp, run around, kill them all, and it's simple as that. There are a few missions where it's a little bit harder, like the one you're seeing right now, in which I do have to go full-out stealth. It's a lot harder for you to actually do this, not stealthy. But it is possible, of course. And that's one thing I'd like to talk about is I do like the drone. I think it's interesting. Here it is. You're going to see some of it for a second. I do like the fact that you can use a little baby drone just to fly around and tag enemies. It's a little different just from your standard binoculars, which you do actually have binoculars, so if your drone's battery dies, you can use your binoculars to scope enemies out. Although typically it doesn't really matter because as soon as your battery dies or you lose your connection, you just throw another drone up, and there's no real wait time or anything like that, so I didn't find a huge deal or problem with my drone. I never used the binoculars once the entire beta. And the last thing I want to talk about really is the AI of your companions. Since this is a 4-player co-op game, when you play it in solo, you have 3 companions, and they're pretty fucking stupid. They don't do anything. You do literally everything. For the most part, all they do is revive you if you die, and they'll kill enemies in the immediate vicinity. But that's it. That's all you really get of that. And I found that extremely disappointing because while I don't want the AIs to do all the heavy lifting, it is disappointing to see that the AIs were completely incompetent in some situations and where they're almost just there to look like you have teammates. So, you'll see them firing off in the distance and you're like, alright, good job. And the only thing useful that they do is they do ID enemies for you, which can be helpful, but overall, in the end, it's not that great. You can do that yourself. But yeah, guys, I think that about covers it. I really did enjoy this technical test, and I think that this game could have the opportunity to be pretty good. But I don't see it being anything extravagant. I really don't. I don't see it being anything more than a game to play for fun with your friends. I think this game will probably be best with friends. And that's the best I can say for it. It's not bad. I think I'll probably buy it and pick it up and play it. But I don't think it's going to be Game of the Year or anything. They're not trying anything new. This has been done before, and while it's a fairly competently made game, it just doesn't reach. The vehicle mechanics are simple and plain, and while the game can be fun, like I said, it doesn't try anything new. It's your basic military open world shooter. But that's just my personal opinion. I want to know what you guys had to think. If you got into the alpha, tell me what you thought in the comments below, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.